But then you're looking at the kids who are just competitors.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't matter whether they're going to be 5'10" or 6'6". It doesn't matter because you need those competitors in basketball because that ties the whole lot together. You can't have a bunch of awkward 6'6" kids at under 18s because you won't win a game. Yeah. So you've got to get.
This is Coach to Coach, where we talk junior basketball coaching in a relaxed, practical way. I'm Jace, and these are your fast break chats. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Coach to Coach podcast, Scott Christiansen.
Thank you, Jace.
I feel very grateful again to have another person joining us. We've met through a mutual friendship in the basketball world, as tends to happen, and your experience definitely, I think, will be valuable to share with our broader audience. So, as usual, we'll make a start with some questions. Just some background on who you are and sort of where you sit. First up, how long have you been coaching?
I'd say I've been coaching for just over 40 years now.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's
so it's a fair while.
Then. Who and what age groups are you coaching with at the moment? Obviously, you've had a broad experience.
Well, at the moment, I'm the director of coaching at Frankston Basketball Club, and I look after the entire boys program. And I'm doing the under 18 boys as a head coach.
Okay.
But I'm working as an assistant with the under 14s because that'll be the next group I take as a head coach. So I sort of blend the kids so they get used to me a bit. Yep,
that's fair. What brings you to coaching? Why do you love to coach?
I sort of fell into it. I'd been playing since I was probably 10, I suppose. But playing in those days, you play football, basketball, and probably cricket, which I did. Mm-hmm. And then, I had a bit of an injury, and my sister was playing, and they needed a coach. So the convener at the time, when I was probably 16, 17, said, how about you do your sister's team? Mm-hmm. And it took 2 weeks before the convener thought I was probably more suited to her son's boys team rather than the girls. So that's how that all started way back. Okay. And then when I came back, kept playing football for a while, but then around 20 years of age, I thought, no, I'll just keep going with the coaching side of things. I was still playing as well, and thought, no. And the boys were saying, you're not tall enough, fast enough, or good enough, but you're a good coach, so just coach.
Call a spade, I suppose.
Yeah, so it was funny at the time.
Excellent. So I guess with that, do you have someone that was a positive influence on your coaching?
Probably not so much in the early days, but as I went along, I had a fair bit of drive to try and achieve as much as I could in the sport. And I told my mum that I was going to coach the Australian team when I was 17.
That's awesome.
And she said, well, that's nice, and off you go, because I was obviously just doing domestic at that stage pretty much. And and then as I got involved with the VJBL and started coaching high-level teams, you'd come across the same coaches. And I was fortunate that one of those coaches was a Blackburn Vikings coach, but he was also a state coach. And then I ended up working with him as an assistant, and he was the one that sort of showed me a lot of things while I was with state teams. So he was probably more of a mentor at that stage.
Yeah, awesome. And who's your favourite professional player, current or past?
My favourite professional player that I saw was Kobe Bryant.
You've seen him play?
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to be in America a few times and got to see the Lakers games, and just watching him destroy teams was pretty impressive to me. So
It's easy to like Kobe based on the pure bubble of hype that surrounds his name in its own right, but to see him play, that must have been surreal.
It was, and it was a game that counts, because quite often you get those games where nobody gives a rat's, but it was a game that was tight. They had to make playoffs, so he was playing seriously, and I think he got 40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive
That's
performance.
Special. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Thank you. One of the topics that I thought would be an interesting one to cover, based on your experience, was what pathways look like for basketballers. Having that breadth of experience for you, right from under 8s all the way through to taking a team, taking 17s and 18s over to the US for exploring scholarship options.
Yeah, through the AAU, which is the sort of like the all-star high school competitions that they have in tournaments. Yeah,
I just thought, you know what, it's a long journey, but it's an important one, and I think there are pathways. Like there are ways to sort of navigate navigate that process. So, thought, your experience covers that. Can you talk us from the start and sort of?
Yeah, I suppose I'll use the current example where at Frankston, part of my role is to identify talent. So, for example, 6 months ago, I went to every under-8 boys team in the domestic program, and I got a list of the 349 boys, and I watched every single one of them play, and then I select 30 that I think are tall and awkward,
cool,
or more ready to play Friday night basketball as 8-year-olds in an under-12 competition. So it's a bit tricky because they're very young. No, we put them in.
You play them?
I play them as double bottoms. So I have 3 teams, and I split them across equally so that hopefully they don't get murdered by teams that are 2 or 3 years older than them.
And a good few inches
taller. And it tends to work.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I give them good developing coaches. I give them a head coach for the age group.
Yep.
So I start them on that pathway with a head coach that controls all the training sessions, and then that leads that development. So the current group that I took to America just a week or so ago, they were one of the first groups that we put together.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I didn't coach them until the last couple of years in their under-18s, but they've been developed all along the way. But we've picked pretty well because we've got a 7-footer, a couple of 6'9s, a couple of 6'6" guards and things like that. And that's part of the thing, is to try and identify the kids who are going to be tall, but also the ones that are going to be athletic and talent, because you'll get the 6'2" kids that can jump as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a trick to get that correct along the way, because Steph Curry ain't that big, but he is damn good.
He's a beast. Absolutely. So that's remarkable to be able to see players that you selected 10 years ago.
So out of that 30, 7 of the 10 that are in the current 18s were part of those 7-year-olds. So I've selected quite well in that age group.
That's an exceptional. That's a great result. That's gosh, to be able to identify those players. Is there things that you could say you are looking for?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things you obviously look for is size, and you can get some kids that might be extremely tall but look, a little bit out of shape. But that's common for kids at that age. But by the time they get to 15 or 16, they're still tall, they've got their bodies in shape, and they're pretty damn good athletes. So other kids might be very, very skinny and couldn't catch a cold if you left them out in the snow.
Yeah.
But they're tall, their mums are tall, they're probably going to be very tall.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so height's one thing.
Yep. But then you're looking at the kids who are just competitors.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't matter whether they're going to be 5'10" or 6'6". It doesn't matter, because you need those competitors in basketball.
Yeah.
Because that ties the whole lot together. You can't have a bunch of awkward 6'6" kids at under 18s, because you won't win a game.
Yeah.
So you've got to get a mix of the competitors, no matter what size they're going to be, who really want to be there and show an aptitude to try hard.
Yeah.
So when you have your tryouts, you pick the kids who are going to listen and are ready to play rep basketball.
So I think then attitude becomes the key
Super
thing.
important. Yeah.
It's just not going to carry if they're not going to put the effort in.
No. And there's some kids where I go to say to them, I'll go to their parents and say, look, I think John's not quite ready for rep basketball right now. He's bursting into tears every once in a while. But please come back to my tryout next year, because I think he will be ready then. Yep. I brought him this time because I thought he had the talent.
Yep.
In a year's time, he's going to be emotionally ready to play rep basketball. So then that happens sometimes.
Oh, look, these kids at that age, the development of their bodies, their minds, it's not all synchronized.
No.
I think that, I think there's a definite new opportunities present as the development moves along. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely, and that's the thing, is you're going to have kids who might be super talented, sure, but I've been fortunate enough to coach kids like Christian Petrarca in basketball, and and a number of others that have gone on to the AFL. And when they get to under 16, you go, well, if you're going to be an AFL player, mate, go that way.
Go that way.
Because you're probably going to make a lot more than a 6'3" basketballer.
Yes. For now. Australia's getting there.
It's getting better.
So we've picked out a few sort of solid traits for our young players to uphold and maintain as they grow. Mm-hmm. What what needs to change through the process?
I suppose once they start, you want them to have a passion to play the game and are keen to learn.
Yeah.
But then you've got to start to, as it goes each year, you've got to try and make sure they're getting different styles of coaching, different techniques, different skills, and you're making sure that you upskill the kids every single year, because if you give them the same drills for 2 years in a row, they're going to quickly get bored at whatever age, whether they be 10-year-olds or 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
So that's one of the keys, is making sure that the coaches you give them are able to give them new and interesting things to keep them enthused and inspired to keep playing the game.
Yeah. I guess I have to remember that right now, in many respects, I'm talking to a coach of coaches rather than a coach specifically. So you've actually got to map out what does every team's program look like this year compared to next year and the year after.
And I'm always planning in advance and reviewing what happened this year. And I have to, obviously, I've got 250 boys in the rep program, and I know every single one of them, what they're doing, how they're going, how they're behaving, how they're improving, etc. And you have to, because when it comes to assessments at the end of the year, you've got to be fair to everyone and make sure you still continue to develop both the athlete and the program, which is sometimes a very fine line between the two.
Yeah. Well, look, that fine line exists at a domestic level. I know that I've had games lost because I've opted to just let my players try to develop their own skills. I've got little young 9-year-old girls who I could have subbed her off because the game
was tight,
needed it to happen, and I'm like, do you know what? She needs to play this game just as much as another player who scored the previous 2 points. And in actual fact, I told one of my nines, said, we need to sub this player back on. She just scored 2 points, and I said, nope, she's played her minutes for this game, and we run fair, even minutes for domestic. And I talked to them in training, and I said, my role is to help every one of you guys develop, and I won't sacrifice that.
Who cares what the scoreboard says at under 8 girls? Nobody.
No. Okay, so,
and that's the same with our rep program. Like my VC teams, their coaches, are told that you've got to pick the team to do well in VC.
Correct.
And there's a minimum expectation for players' minutes, sort of around that sort of 7 to 10.
Yeah, okay.
That's a minimum.
Yeah.
But all the other teams, I just say rotate them evenly, and I couldn't give a rat's whether you win every game or no games. As long as I see the boys at the start, and when I see them during the year and the end of the year, they're better, you've done your job, and I couldn't really care what the scoreboard says.
But I think that's a more holistic perspective of the game and what your role is in it. Like, we're not playing for sheep stations here.
And it's hard for young coaches, because we've got obviously quite a few of those that are new to the coaching side that I bring out of the youth league, who didn't quite make the NBL 1 and things like that.
Yeah, okay.
And they're used to being competitive at that level and being expected to win at whatever levels they were at. But being a coach, I say, no, it's not about just winning. You've got to focus more on the development, and winning will become a byproduct if you're a good coach.
And I think that's a very, very apt point, isn't it? It's like it's almost just going through the motions. Do all the right things, and the right outcomes will happen in time.
I tell the youth league coach that I'm setting him up for success, because I keep sending him all these talented athletes that maybe we didn't win all those VC championships. By the time they get to him, though, he's getting 7-footers and 6'10" who can play. Yeah. And funnily enough, they do very, very well.
Yeah. So my son goes into under 14s next season, having done 2 seasons of under 12s. Actually, he's a funny example, because he broke his arm and had 3 months off. So his progress is behind. We've got tryouts coming up, and it's nerve-wracking. But I guess where my question was going was, is there things that you could suggest that he needs to do differently once he's in the 14s?
Yes, absolutely. I built a matrix a long time ago about the skill sets that should be taught at each age group, from under 12s through to under 16s, and then the level of competency of those skills. So if you've got a 5th team, well, you'd expect them to be learning it. But if you've got a first team, well, you expect them in some things to be fairly close to mastering it.
Yes.
Or developing it, one or the other, depending on the age group. And so I have that little matrix I give to coaches saying, look, when you're in doubt and you're running your drills, have a look at what you haven't taught this week. Put that in. So at least they're covering things, so kids that at least got a very good base for the next coach.
Yeah, okay. So can you give a couple of examples of and I mean, I'm not going to ask you to recall your matrix off the top of your head right now, but let's say 12 fours compared to, like, so what's a couple of things that might be applicable at 12 fours, a couple of things that might be applicable at 14 fours, and then 16.
So a 12 fours team, if they're top age, they would be expected to be able to do left and right hand layups, left and right hand jump hooks from 1 foot, be able to defend competently in the half court, and be able to understand the team concepts of just a basic offense, a basic defense, and some box out. So all are just the fundamentals. And if the coach says, I want you to do, I don't know, whatever, a behind the back dribble and go past your man, they've got the competency to do those things. When you get to an under 14s level, I'd expect them to be able to reverse the dribble and have gears in what they do. So they can go at full pace, 3/4 pace, 2/3, and change angles and get better timing and spacing. So whereas at 12s, I expect them just to do the things. As you go up levels, I now need timing, spacing, and gears to change angles, etc.
And then what about, like, because we're talking pathways, and I'm just using a sort of a linear example, 16 fours.
Well, then the 16 fours, they're probably going to be more in that development phase rather than a higher one. But I would then expect them, if those guys have got through those fours, I'm hoping they're in higher teams, because I've got less teams as I move up the age groups. Yeah,
we should probably note for a broader audience that obviously the number of teams drops. You might have how many?
9 at under 12.
Yeah.
6, 3.
Yeah, right.
And then 1.
So fours further down the into that development. So just for context and for the people to understand. So well, maybe we need to say then 16.
So let's say they've moved up to the 2s because they've improved from those 14s up.
Sure.
That's when I'd expect them to have better read and react concepts that go with your timing, speed, and changing gears. So suddenly, instead of running the coach's concepts, you now see a guy who's just sealed in the middle of the keyway. Or you notice your defence was in bad spots, so you seal, or you back cut, or you're making better decisions off the ball than at an under 14 level. So they become more complete ball players who can, if you teach them how to read and react, they can play for any coach. If all they do is run Scott Christiansen's offense, it's probably not going to work if he plays for Dean Vickerman, because Dean won't be running my offense. So if that's all they run, they're in big trouble. So you need to be able to teach them how to play the game rather than run someone's beautiful offenses.
And that actually makes a lot of sense to me, because this is my first season coaching under 15s, and plays has become important. But it's interesting to know that it's not until these are reasonably new girls to the game. It's interesting to know that that, as you say, learning to play the game, it's down the path.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'm not there yet. They're not there yet. You need to be a 16-3 rep level to be able to play at that sort of intelligence, if you want. And that's obviously the thing between each of the age groups, and as they move up from bottom age to top age too, against if they're bottom age, they're playing bigger athletes, so it's a little bit harder to execute some things. But as you get to top age, you expect them to execute it better. So that's the sort of things we try and see, and encourage them to have a crack at things, even though it may not be successful as bottom age. Have a go at it and we'll see. All right, so we've gone from 16 twos, so we've gone 14 fours, 16 twos. Where are we heading to from here? Assuming we've made some progress.
So if you're getting to 18 ones, you would hope that those kids have got all of the base fundamentals down to almost mastery. So your next thing is then how do you put that into a very high-speed game at a high level against opponents who could be as good or better.
Doing the same thing,
And then how are you going to restrict what they do? And then make the decision so the game is, played at a very, very high level, and people watch go, wow, that's pretty damn impressive. So that's what you're looking for at under 18s.
I was blown away a couple of seasons ago to go and watch my first NBL 1 games, which I know has a long history of Seaball. And
it's a very high level actually at the moment, I think.
It's phenomenal. We spent an entire season, my son and I, going to watch these games, thinking it feels like mini NBA, like mini NBL. Like it's just, they're awesome.
Yeah, very, very quick, very skilled. They execute things at a pretty high level and do some impressive things that, like you say, you'd go, well, they look like full-time pros the way that some of these guys play.
Yeah. So how did you arrive at, you mentioned earlier that you went to the US. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. How did you arrive at who went with you?
Yeah, well, I hadn't done one of the tours for probably about 10 years, and that's when these kids that I'd come through, and I happened to be coaching them at the under-18s, they go, come on, we know you used to do these. Yeah. Please take us on one of those Scott's tours. Yep. So I said, all right. So I started planning it 8 months ago, got in contact with the NCAA, got my accreditation back because there's a lot of paperwork behind the scenes you have to do. But once you get that in place, then start organising, doing deals with airlines and hotels and all the other things. And then I say to the kids, okay, who's interested first? Doesn't mean you're going to go, but who's interested? Yeah. But funnily enough, nearly every single one of the under-18s that were in the team said, oh, I'm interested.
Yeah, oh yes.
So
what an opportunity.
I think we got 6 of the under-18s. Okay. And then there was 3 kids from that were bottom age 20s who played for me the year before. Okay. And in the US, this age group, it's 19 and under. So the kids I was taking actually are very young compared to who we played against.
Yeah, right.
So it was, I really wanted to do that to sort of get them to see the difference in basketball style, standard, refereeing, etc. in the US compared to what they were used to.
And is there a program that you just sort of jump on, or are there tournaments that you can just...
I picked the tournaments I knew that would be good for them and challenge them.
Yeah, okay.
And they did better than I thought they would. Yeah. So they won one and were semi-final losers in the other one. So now the boys have said, I know that you're looking at next year. I said, yeah, because when you're top age and you're just getting through your year 12, that's when you're more eligible, obviously, for college. Yes. Yeah. So I said that I'll put them into the Nike events next year.
And what sort of opportunities are opened up for them on that stage?
Well, just in the events we played, there would have been 20 or 30 coaches watching, but they recognised that our kids, in most cases, weren't eligible for college until 2027. Yeah, okay. So they kept an eye on them, and they'll probably monitor them the next time I come back. But the other events, you could have a couple of 100 coaches watching.
Yeah, wow. Who are looking for talent to bring into their college teams? Yep,
that's right. Wow. And you get a full scholarship and get to follow your dreams, which is what I told the kids. I said, look, I'm going to give this so you can all have a chance at following your dreams and chasing what you want to do.
And would you say that these players have maintained those fundamentals that you sort of asked of them?
Yeah, it's funny how all those, that sort of 8 to 9 years coming through the program, and they're good people as well as being good basketball players, and the way they behaved when we were away with just a couple of coaches, no parents, and just they help with everything. They help move things, come and help with the shopping, all the other things we had to do, laundry, etc. They all put their hands up to help. So they're good kids, and I just hope that as many as possible get those opportunities.
Sensational. Well, look, it's been really great to map out that whole sort of journey. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's been rep based tonight, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, that's where the pathways go. Domestic will always just be this wonderful, fun competition where you want to play some basketball. But to know what that rep pathway looks like, I find it personally really interesting and encouraging, because I've got a son whom I think could probably work his way through that pathway, but I now recognise that there's a few more things that I can impart on him to help that journey look on track.
I think the biggest thing that parents can do to help kids, and it doesn't matter if you play at a big program or a small one, what I find is the kids that ultimately are successful just do things in their own time. Yeah, okay. And they'll go away because they think, okay, I have to get better at my left hand, or I want to be able to do that behind the back move, or whatever. Yeah. And you find the kids will just go out there and drive their parents nuts with a bang, bang, bang ball off the backboard on the driveway, etc. Funnily enough, they're the ones that do tend to get through and succeed. Yeah. because at my program we have kids come in from small associations at 14s, 16s, even sometimes 18s, that will just go, well, I've been playing at the small club, I've done the best I can, but I want to just have a crack at a bigger club to see if I can go on to Youth League and NBL 1 because our club has that.
Yep.
And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't make it, but there's a couple of successes too where those guys came in the last minute and they're now playing in our NBL 1 team who came from a Western Port or a Southern Peninsula. So it is possible no matter what, because the basketball pathways I think are better than the football.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's more capture of talent into a big pool.
Yes.
So our VJBL has, I don't know how many thousands, probably thousands of teams.
It
I wouldn't have a
probably
clue.
is.
It'd be huge.
Yeah.
And it all funnels into those higher levels. So if your team's doing all right, doesn't matter if you're a small club, if you're doing well, you can go up to a pretty high level. And so there's always those opportunities to grow and develop. And I think the actual pathway for basketball itself is pretty well set up, whereas football, you could be playing in a league where the teams just happen to be no good. You don't get much improvement. Your coaches aren't that good. And then suddenly you turn up at a Stingrays and they go, no, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. There is a ton of opportunity if you're prepared to put the effort in. Because at the end of the day as well, that effort becomes a filter anyway.
The challenge these days is getting coaches now and then educating them a bit, because it's just the time that people have to put into it, and it's virtually whole volunteer. You're lucky if you get a fuel voucher at the end of the year. It seems to be that's the thing I've noticed in the last 5 or 6 years since COVID, and it's just harder and harder to get volunteers.
I think then there's possibly merit to what we're doing here. Because for me, I've found that it's been good. I feel enthusiastic about sharing with as broad an audience as we can just how giving coaching is.
Oh, I have got so much more back than what I've had to give into basketball over the 40 years. That I'm the biggest winner ever. I find myself very, very fortunate to have been put in the situations I've had.
Oh, look, it's I'm the same. I'm 2 seasons in, and you couldn't. I wouldn't leave it for the earth at the moment. It's it's got its frustrations.
Oh yes,
I think everybody knows that.
Yes.
But jeepers. For me, my first season, to see how the girls had improved from start to finish,
That's it. And that's pretty much what, coaching's about. If you can see people just come back and get better, and then if they come back, you've probably done a pretty good job.
And actually, I have one little piece of advice for our audience right now on that topic, because I'm going through it. I feel like I'm going through it a little bit at the moment. That start to finish type reflection is easy to do at the end of the season. It's a little bit difficult in the middle of the season, because at the time it's almost like that change is uncomfortable. Yeah,
and sometimes you don't quite notice it too as well, because it's a shorter period of time. So sometimes it's good actually to go and find someone that might have watched your team at the start and say, what do you think?
Yeah.
Tell me the truth.
Yep.
Are they going a bit better than you saw them? And
yep.
So I try and give the feedback to all my coaches when I see their teams, especially when I see changes in behaviour, which is what I tell. If you can get your kids to have a change in behaviour from one session to the next, or one game, or over a season, that's pretty special.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right. Well, Scott, this has been a really, really fantastic chat. I really appreciate the time you've taken for us here. I think that your experience and message will be well appreciated by, I think, all levels of coaching, to be honest, the new guys and the guys that are a few years in, because, I think everybody's at different stages. Sometimes it's good to reflect on the past. Sometimes it's good to look to the future. And I think we've covered a nice broad spectrum of that.
It's easy to look at the bad things, but most coaches who put their time and effort, I hope that they get some rewards in terms of the way they see people come up and shake their hands who you haven't seen in 20 years, go, hey, I remember you coaching me and I enjoyed that time.
Oh, that's special. Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Scott. We'll good luck for the tryouts coming up soon.
Yes.
That's going to be a busy time for you.
It is, where you get some parents where I'm ruining NBA careers, I think, sometimes. But
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very much, Scott.
Okay.
That's it for today's Fast Break chat on Coach to Coach. Thanks for listening. I'm Jace, and I'll catch you next time.